Super Cycling, proudly brought to you by Engine.
In this edition of Super Cycling, we bring you highlights on the UCI Mountain Bike Marathon Championships from Cascades in Pietermaritzburg. Brad Berg from Engine joins us in studio to tell us more about a new cycling series coming your way. We head down to the Kulhavy for the Redstone Hill mountain bike race. And we bring you more on the Momentum 94.7 Cycle Challenge route changes. But first, here's your cycling news making headlines. Sir Bradley Wiggins' name did not appear in Team Sky's roster for the 2014 Tour de France for the second consecutive year. The 2012 Tour champion was omitted by team principal Dave Brailsford after he had won the British National Time Trial Championships at the weekend. Defending champion Chris Froome will lead his team of 8 other riders as the overwhelming favourite when the Tour starts on the 5th of July with a road stage from Leeds to Harrogate. Czech rider Roman Kreuziger has been sidelined by Tinko's Saxo team and will not support Albert's Contador in the Tour de France due to abnormalities with his anti-doping biological passport. The 28-year-old admitted that he'd worked with band doctor Michele Ferrari in the past, but he said it was only for training purposes and denied he had ever doped. Kreuziger has been investigated for periods during the 2011 and 2012 seasons when he was with Team Astana. Italian cyclist Diego Lucy has been provisionally suspended by Lampre Merida team after failing a doping test. Lampre says it was informed by the UCI of an adverse analytical finding following a test of the 11th stage of the Giro d'Italia. Lucy won the 5th and 8th stages of the Giro and had almost double the permitted amount of salbutamol in his urine after the 11th stage.
It's that time of year, it's the Tour de France. It starts in a few days' time. Hello, welcome. Good to have you with us here on Super Cycling once again as we'll look ahead to the Tour coming up. But as you know, we've got a reflection on the World Championships, the Marathon Championships on the weekend, and exciting news from Engine about a new series, an event that really will capture the imagination, get you all on your bikes. Now, let's first turn our attention to our latest superstar in this week, Andrew McLean, our world champion. Thank you, Gerald. And congratulations on winning your category there. Hello, Owen.
Hi, Gerald.
Nice to have you. Sorry, thank you.
No major title.
Oh, sorry. Andrew, congratulations. I mean, you rode on Saturday, and it's a hard race, but tell us about your race.
Well, it was a hard course. Remember, we did essays on that course 2 weeks ago, so we all knew that it was a difficult course. It then rained the previous day, probably only about 7-8 mils, but enough to make the south-facing slopes real mudfest. So the technical downhills were really tricky and slippery, and the uphills weren't too bad. And once we got over the hill onto the Hilton side, it's actually fine. But I think all we did was ride the track in perfectly for the elites the next day, because I think they must have had an almost, it's almost like just watering the track enough riders through to pack it down hard, and it was perfect for the main race. And I think all of them went away with a big smile on their face in terms of the course.
I've got to say that last year the cross-country champs who finished second there got a silver there, and I remember you saying you would like to get a medal at the marathon champs to complete the set.
Yes, I've got a few silvers and bronzes in my cupboard, but I didn't have a gold, and it was quite important. I had a good race and a good tussle. There was Doug Brown rode really well early on, and then I think a Swedish and a Polish rider came through who I didn't know, so it was a bit of the unknown. And I mean, that's what World Champs is about. But fantastic event, and obviously lots of other great winners as well, lots of good veteran hardcore cyclists. And then I just want to mention three people. Robyn DE GROOT in the ladies elite.
Yes.
I think she's really lifted her game and has improved a lot. I think a minute behind Ariane KLEINHANS, and we all know how good Ariane is. And then in the men's, our youngsters, James Reed and Rob Cruiser, are two, I want to say up and coming, but they're already there. They really are world class, and those two are certainly well worth watching.
Superstars. We will be seeing that very shortly, but Owen, just quickly getting back to our Commonwealth Games saga. SASCOC have come back, Cycling South Africa appealed the non-selection of a men's team, and disappointing news.
Disappointing news. The team, they said it was a bit too late and they can't change the criteria at all. They didn't abide by the category rules or the rules that get in
SASCOC rules.
So they stuck to the bit where they said they have to be in the top 5. in the world in order to get into Commonwealth Games. But if you look at the ranking amongst Commonwealth nations, with our South African cyclists, we're right up there, and the chances of getting a medal is very, very good. So it's a bit disappointing to see that we're not going to have a men's road team. And I think out of all the teams in the past Commonwealth Games that we've been in, this is supposed to be our best chance of getting a medal. We've got some class riders, Dale Impey to name one of them. He is just up there. He knows the Australian setup, he knows the English setup as well, and so many other riders that can support him as well. So it's really, really disappointing. We're going to have to count on the women then to pull up a result there, and I'm sure that Ashton Mpatio can do that. But right now, I think a lot of people feel aggrieved about the SASPA's decision, and I feel the same way too.
Just Daryl and Reinhardt, I think, would have qualified to get into the British team, the Aussie team. I mean, those two nations who are the two favourites must be thanking us, because we were a real force, a real problem for them with those two riders, and with support from guys like Lee Mankeys. I don't think they can believe it, that they're not going to have to compete against these guys.
Well, it's disappointing news. We're waiting the news from Team Orica Green Edge about Daryl Impey riding the Tour de France. Hopefully he will be, but we'll be chatting about that Tour de France later in the programme. But now let's reflect back on the UCI Marathon World Championships in the mountain bike, which took place in Pietermaritzburg on Sunday. Cascades has played host to many a cross-country World Cup and, of course, the World Championships last year. But this, the marathon men, a course over 95 kilometres and 88 riders on the start line. 22 of them South African, 5 former champions, including the defending champion Christoph Sauser of Switzerland here. Swiss had a strong team with Urs HUBER in the mix here. Alban LAKATA was their former champion. Of course, there is Pericles, the Greek rider, a former winner of this title as well. The number 1 ranked marathon racer at the moment is Stefan Thum of Germany. Huber at number 2, LAKATA at 3, Remy Lafont, the Frenchman, at number 4. The top ranked South African at the moment, Nico Bell, at 17. And 9 checkpoints as they did a first loop up to the first checkpoint that took them through much of the cross-country course. That's the Greek rider, Pericles Ilias, starting to form a lead group here. Plenty of single track, a very demanding course this. Over 3,000 meters of climbing, and it started early up to the plateau above Pietermaritzburg. The sunshine perfect after rain on Friday, and of course with the Rainbow Challenge riding very much of this course, the track was in very, very good condition. Rainbow Challenge riders pretty much taken the sting out of it and the heavy mud out of the course. So the early group, Jaroslav Kulhavy, and he, of course, a former cross-country world champion and the Olympic gold medalist. Christoph Sauser in there, Urs HUBER as well. Ilias Pericles, the Greek rider, and the rest of them up towards checkpoint 3, a long climb of 1.5 kilometers. They come out of the forest, and a very, very big group lining the road. Spectators had made their way out onto the course. Great to see support for the marathon men. Of course, South Africa, a wonderful marathon tradition, and some great riders as well. 2 young men in this field, Will Cruz and James Reed, cross-country specialists. So Urs HUBER on the frontier, Jaroslav Kulhavy of the Czech Republic, and following on him, his teammate, and very much a contender, Yuri Novak. There's Christoph Sauser going through. Bad news, and the sad news for the German is that Karl Platt had to withdraw due to illness. He rode for 2 kilometers. He had a heavy cold all week and realized that he wasn't going to go too far in the marathon champs. Trouble here for Christoph Sauser. The world champion had hit a rock, and his chain ring had taken some damage, and his chain kept slipping off, and he was losing precious time here to the lead group. And this gave Jaroslav Kulhavy, after checkpoint 5, he attacked on a downhill up the climb, and soon he put minutes into his rivals, clearly in the knowledge that Christoph Sauser was struggling. Jaroslav Kulhavy had had a disappointing year. He didn't ride the Epic this year, won it last year, of course, but he had injuries and technical issues that had bedeviled his cross-country season, so this was a major focus for him, and he put the hammer down and was charging away. LAKATA, Urs HUBER, Jukka VASTARANTA, the Finnish rider, was there. Bartholomew Wawek, a Polish rider, and Roel Paulsen, former champion, the Belgian, also in the chase group. But no one was getting hold of this man, Jaroslav Kulhavy. The Greek former champion Pericles Ilias out of the saddle on the climbs. And it was a very, very tough course. There's no question about that. As Roel Paulison on his Trapado bike up the climb. And the 650B wheels. Behind him, Alban LAKATA is leading a little chase group, including in this group Bartholomew Warwick and Jukka VASTARANTA, the Finnish marathon specialist. The power of Kulhavy, absolutely amazing. Collects a bottle. Now the ride would take them into the start-finish area for another loop out in the other direction. In that loop of 20 kilometers, a brutal test of stamina and endurance. Still in second place, this is the Greek rider Ilias, Pericles Ilias. And here come the chasers, Urs HUBER. And a fantastic start to the year, winning marathons and stage races in South Africa. Disappointment of the epic, of course, when Carl Pat had to withdraw. And he had for company Robert Mennen, the man who won the Absa Cape Epic, with Christian Heineck, the Czech rider, who'd also withdrawn from this race. Another casualty, former champion Ralph Naif, had withdrawn during the ride. Timboma also did right. Here comes Sauser, number one on his bike. He was starting to fight back, got his mechanical sorted out, and was chasing. LAKATA in second place as Kulhavy powered down this single track. The conditions now near to perfect for these top riders. Again out of the saddle on that final loop, Yaroslav Kulhavy. No problem with his technical skills. We know, of course, as a cross-country and Olympic champion. LAKATA now alone in second place. He'd put aside the challenge of the Greek rider Pericles Ilias. The big Austrian, he's a powerhouse and he loves this course. A big focus for him was the Marathon Championships this year. He missed out on the epic due to an injury. And Sauser, slowly but surely, slow poison it was, chipping away and moving into third place. Incredible fight back by a man who'd lost nearly 10 minutes to the leaders at checkpoint 5. And this, a real fight back. A drop into the stadium section, so to speak, zipping up the shirt because LAKATA knows he'll take second place. These are tracks the cross-country racers would have tackled during the World Championships a year ago. Sauser, of course, a cross-country world champion as well, but not an Olympic champion. It was this man, Yaroslav Kulhavy of the Czech Republic, who powered up the finish straight to complete the set. A fantastic set. Olympic champion, world cross-country champion, and now marathon world champion to add to his silver medal as well. A fantastic ride by the Czech man. Stopped and lifted his bike over the finish line in traditional fashion. He did so in 4 hours, 15 minutes and 15 seconds. Alban LAKATA, 4:19.15, the Austrian taking silver to add to a gold medal previously. And of course, Christoph Sauser, a former gold medalist, 3-time champion over the marathon distance, settling for bronze. What might have been for him on a day of technical hassles, but what an incredible fight back to take third. So to the women's race, and in this race there were some 17 South Africans in a field of 34 from around the world. Robyn De Groot on the front row there as well, Candice Neethling, and of course South Africa's adopted lass, well, 2 of them, one in second place there, and that's Jennie STENERHAG as well as Ariane KLEINHANS. That's Tereza HURIKOVA from the Czech Republic, the European champion, Esther SÜSS, a former champion, racing through. And Robyn De Groot, the South African marathon champion. What a transition it's been for her. But they were chasing this woman, Langvad, former champion, as she goes through Tech Zone 2. Again in control. Behind her, Germany's Sabine SPITZ, another former champion. And she was alone in second place. The battle for third, Esther SÜSS behind, but Tereza HURIKOVA, the Czech rider, in third place at the moment. South Africa's Robyn De Groot was going really, really well. She'd finished in 6th place. And Jeannie BOMFORD in 8th place, but it was this woman, Langvad, who finished the 75 kilometers in 3 hours, 50 minutes and 44 seconds to take her 3rd world title.
This year, I had an awesome season already with the World Cup running finishes, and really good results in all the races that I did so far. So what I did after the last World Cup in Germany was to take some time off and just do some private training for some weeks or 3 back in Denmark in, you know, in the environment where you know everything, and it really pays off to reload and feel get stronger both mentally and physically. So yeah, I had a good plan for today and I just went out there and executed.
A powerhouse, the great Danica Langvad, the gold. Sabine SPITZ, the silver, and Tereza HURIKOVA, the bronze medal. Esther SÜSS was 4th, Ariane KLEINHANS in 5th place, Robyn DE GROOT in 6th, Jennie STENERHAG ahead of Jeannie BOMFORD, 7th and 8th. The top 3 in the Women's Marathon World Championships. What a ride.
Yeah, I'm really happy for our team because Susie is a pretty good marathon rider as well. He has a lot of titles, and yeah, I can continue when he finishes his career, and yeah, he's pretty good, and I must say my bike was pretty good. I went on the full suspension bike, and I mean it was much better because I saved a lot of energy, and the finger trails it was pretty good, and the bike was amazing, and thanks for it.
So rainbow stripes again, but this time in the marathon discipline for Jaroslav Kulhavy. The best placed South African, James Reed in 17th, Rob Cruiser in 18th. Great rides by those two youngsters.